Good morning. Welcome, everyone. I'm really happy to see all of you here in our EazyBI Community Days, which we are doing already for the 8th year. And as you probably know, that we are fully remote company, and then in every day we are working from our home offices or sometimes meeting somewhere together. And therefore, we are really happy when we have the opportunity still to come and see you in face and chat with you about how we are doing, and so what are your questions. And so this gives really us inspiration about that, and that's why we are doing these events. And during the last 12 months, we have been quite busy also traveling around the world. And so during the last 12 months, we did our previous EazyBI Community Days in Riga. Then we went to Las Vegas to Atlassian team event. And then we went to a lot of different partner events in Gothenburg, Tel Aviv, Antwerp, Jakarta, Krakow, São Paulo, Copenhagen, Amsterdam. So then again, it was Atlassian events in Copenhagen and Amsterdam, and then London, Budapest. And just last week, some of our colleagues were in Warsaw. So we are very active and glad to come to different partner events and to meet you in face. And so as we have previously doing our events in Riga and sometimes in Las Vegas, and then we thought that maybe let's experiment with some new location, and so therefore we decided, so let's do it in Berlin. So willkommen in Berlin. Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch, aber nicht jetzt so gut, deshalb I will continue in English. Yeah, so we are happy to be here and talk to you and see both previously seen faces and as well as some new faces here. So at first, a short overview of the agenda. So just a reminder that the agenda is printed out on all the tables, and then you can see it there. But so I'll start with my presentation and about the latest updates, and then my colleague Nauris will continue with how to manage EazyBI accounts. We are having quite longer coffee breaks, and then please use these breaks to chat between you as well as grab any of us and ask your questions. And then during this time, we are really happy that we have a lot of guest speakers. And then in the second session, we'll have several talks from our partners and customers. And so you will learn about them more, and then you can have a look on the agenda. But then, so during the first half of the day, so it's easy. You just need to sit here. You don't need to make any decisions. And then after the lunch, but you already have pre-made this decision whether you will stay here for the first track for building smart and nice-looking reports, and then the second track for prepare complex data for optimized reports. So that will be in another room, but it's just across the hall in that way, so it's very near, and you continue with that. And then after coffee break and networking, so we'll have the last session where we'll have the at first panel discussion where me with several of our partners and as well as Sven Peters from Atlassian will discuss how to maximize the benefits of Atlassian ecosystem. And then we will finish with a final talk for today from Sven from Atlassian. And so after that, we'll have that closing networking here in the lobby, and then with some drinks, and then continue asking and chatting. So then you'll be more brave to ask your difficult questions to us after some couple of drinks. Yeah, so I mentioned about these parallel training sessions so that's what you have already hopefully made the decision. But in case if you change your mind, so it's okay to change your mind now as well and go to a different session. And so as I mentioned, there will be a networking at the end of today. Then for tomorrow, so that's our tradition that whenever we go somewhere, where we meet somewhere, that we are running or walking together. And so that we are doing tomorrow morning as well. And so we would be happy, those of you who would like to join us, that meet us in the lobby at 7 a.m. And then it's also the one decision that you can make. Either you do 5-kilometer run with us or 3-kilometer walk with us. And so it's I always also like this, as it gives you new energy for the second day, even if you had some couple more beers in the previous day. So then after this morning run, you are feeling fresh and energized for the next day again. And then on the second day, so you don't need to make any decisions anymore. So then it's just still single track. I will hear different presentations, both from my colleagues as well as several other use cases, tips and tricks from our customers and partners. And we will then close around 4:30 tomorrow. And also, I wanted to mention that we are having a support bar next outside there, where you if you have any specific questions, support questions about your current problems, then it's the best way how you can use it. And so always there will be some of our colleagues, and that where you can get the fastest response time, so you don't need to write an email and wait for an answer. So hopefully we'll be able to answer that, or maybe give some workaround, or if not, then probably, unfortunately, no one will be able to help you. But so let's use this opportunity if you have currently some urgent support questions. And so, as I mentioned, we have almost all our team is here, and so that's how we look nice in our Christmas party. But, today we look nice as well, but in our T-shirts, EazyBI T-shirts, so you can find us, and please use the opportunity and ask any questions what you have. As well as I wanted to give this annual update of our team pie chart. So some of you have seen it, but just the latest update. So the total count is 31, and some 5, 6, or 7 years ago, so it looked differently than the half of our company were named Jānis, but now it's unfortunately proportion is decreasing. Now just 25% of our company is named Jānis, so we have hired all of them, and so there are no more left. Now the second spot runner are Ilses, so now we are having 3 Ilses, so it's probably so they will catch up with Jānises. But so all the other names are unique. So that's just a reminder. So if you are writing to us, so don't refer that, well, I talked this with Jānis, or I talked this with Ilse, so then we probably will not know who it was. But all the other names are still unique. So then also I wanted to share some other pie that a couple weeks ago. So we celebrated our 13th birthday. So EazyBI has entered the teenagers stage now. So I have experience with 3 teenagers, so 2 have already left this stage, so 1 is still there, and I know that it's pretty hard time, and so sometimes they don't want to listen to you and don't listen to your advice. So I still hope that EazyBI will take my advice and will not start behaving strangely. But yeah, we are exciting, and I'm still exciting to doing this for so many years, and we have so many new ideas how to enhance it further. And so probably because of this week, so last week we got also kind of birthday present from the Atlassian that we applied to Atlassian's Partner Awards this year. And so now we are in the finalist shortlist for the Cloud Transformation Apps Award. So the final winner will be decided in a couple of weeks and will be announced during the Atlassian team event in Las Vegas. We'll see whether we'll get it, but still, to get into the finalist list, it's a pretty big honor, as there's a lot of competition between marketplace apps nowadays, as you know it. So when we prepared our submission for this award, so I gathered some statistics about our cloud statistics, cloud growth, and I wanted to share a couple of these figures with you. That last year we had 36% increase in active accounts, EazyBI accounts in our cloud. And then if we look at how many active reports, so unique count of reports executed, so it grew even more, it was 42% growth there. And if we count the report executions, so how many times these reports were opened, so it grew even faster, so it was 72% growth. So which means that we get new customers, but also our existing customers are using EazyBI even more and having even more reports and opening and looking at these results even more. And so that's, we are really glad that we can help thousands of customers every day with valuable business information. But as so the cloud growth is important for us, and as you know, so that's the strategy for Atlassian as well. But for us, we still keep our strategy that data center customers are as important for us as well. And we still have the same EazyBI everywhere. That so in the EazyBI cloud, so each week we are releasing some new features, getting some early feedback about new features. So we will hear today about some new features in the cloud as well. But we still, from time to time, so we are packaging all the latest features and releasing the data center version of EazyBI. And we still are using the same source code base either to deploy to the cloud or packaged and release it on the server. So functionality-wise, so the core functionality is exactly the same, either it's in the cloud or on the server. So of course, so there are some differences regarding integrations which are available and which data we can pull on the cloud or on the server. But feature-wise, so data center customers receive the same functionality, maybe a little bit later, but the other good point is that it's probably more tested and validated that it works as expected. So now let's move at first to some new features that we have released in the last year. And at first I wanted to give a short recap of some things that we announced already last EazyBI Community Days and that we released later, but just as a reminder for you that maybe if you haven't tried them out. So last year we announced conditional report alerts that you can, when you define conditional formatting, you can check and for which rules you would like to get notifications, alerts, and then you can subscribe to these reports and get email notifications about that. So that was released later in the summer, and so it's available both on the cloud and on the data center. And then on the complex things possible side, so we released calculated time hierarchies that for those who have very complex needs, how to build some very specific time hierarchies, either by months, by some specific quarters, or by weeks to combine with months, etc. So you can do anything using these calculated time hierarchies with custom JavaScript code. So that was released last summer as well. Then one of these features I wanted to mention about supporting last data volumes that we released the synchronization to so-called OLAP data warehouse database. So if you have using and importing data from Jira into EazyBI accounts, and then if this is large amount of Jira data that you have imported, you can turn on the synchronization to the ClickHouse OLAP database, which is optimized for doing reports on large amounts of data. And so initially we released that on the cloud, and we are automatically switching larger accounts to this ClickHouse database. And now we released it on the possibility to configure that and install it and use it for data center customers as well. And so if we previously were telling that, well, maybe don't import more than 100,000 issues per one account, now we are using this database. And so if you don't have too complex calculations, then you can analyze millions or more Jira issues in one EazyBI account. So then we also are all the time investing, so what new integrations we could create and provide new data in your EazyBI reports. And one area where we are looking for these new integrations is that we look at some other top marketplace apps that customers are using. Then we are all the time collecting the feedback from the customers that you ask that maybe, well, can you get the data from this app as well? And last year we created and released the integration with Time to SLA app, and which is also one of the popular apps, which is kind of alternative to Jira Service Management SLAs. But if you don't want to use Jira Service Management, or you want to use these some SLAs in other projects, not just in service management projects, you can use this app. And in the cloud, you just need to specify these integration API tokens, or on the data center, it's detected automatically that you have it. And then you can select what SLAs from Time to SLA app you would like to analyze. And then you will get the dimensions and measures similar to what you get when you are using Jira Service Management SLA metrics. We also continue to improve integration with DevOps tools like Bitbucket or GitHub or Jenkins. And one improvement was that we introduced that you can limit imported data history, as some of these external tools probably have quite long history there, but their APIs maybe are not so good to retrieve all the history, or sometimes we start to get 429 errors, rate limiting errors, if we try to import your 10-year GitHub history data, for example. And therefore, if you are interested just in a recent history, you can specify and limit some recent history that you would like to analyze in EazyBI. As well as there are some new dimensions like pull request authors, pull request status, build status that you can use in your DevOps reports. Then the next one we announced and released it last year as well, that you can share dashboards on Jira Service Management portal, so that you can share some metrics to your JSM portal customers. And so they can access, then you can share it to your JSM portal customers, and they can view some metrics. And previously, you needed to share it with individual customer users. So maybe if some customer user managers wanted to see these reports. Now it's easier that you can share them with customer organizations that you have defined. And then it makes this managing this access easier. So currently, this is the feature that we have released on the cloud, and hopefully, after some while, we'll investigate and add that for the data center as well. So the next one is quite a popular feature between our employees. So probably, if you sit next to some of them, you will notice that. So it's a dark theme of EazyBI. And so we released it just shortly before the Halloween time, so that was good timing for that. And then it's automatically integrated with Jira or Confluence Cloud theme switching as well, which is currently released for Jira Cloud and Confluence Cloud. And then if you switch your Jira Cloud or Confluence Cloud theme to the dark theme, so then EazyBI will switch to that automatically as well. So they are planning, so Atlassian is planning to add that to the data center versions as well. And so hopefully in Jira 10, so it will be supported, this theme switching for data center. And then, as it will be released, we will add that support for data center as well. So currently on the data center side, so you can, if you share and just want to publish as an iframe, but some EazyBI reports, so it's available, but it's not automatically matching the Jira theme, as there is no default support for dark theme in Jira Data Center yet. So the next is again about our cloud and about data residency. And as you probably know, that Atlassian is now supporting very many different data residency regions. So initially they started with US, and then a lot of European customers wanted to data residency in Europe, and therefore, so that was one of the first that they introduced. And now they are having these different data residency options around the world. So in our case, so as we are a European company, and so we knew Europeans better, so therefore we decided that we had already our default data center in Europe. So we are using Google Cloud European region in Belgium. But still, we got some questions from some US customers that they wanted, because of compliance reasons, they would prefer to have data residency in US. And therefore, we enhanced our solution of architecture in the cloud. And so this is a short overview of our cloud architecture. That we have many different app and database servers. So we have some main app servers which receive all incoming web requests. And we have some main database which stores different metadata about users, EazyBI accounts, report definitions or dashboard definitions, etc. But then all the imported data from Jira or other data sources are stored in separate account-specific data warehouse databases for each account in a separate database schema. And then there are separate background job servers which do the data import into them. And then there are these child nodes, similar to data center child nodes, who are doing this intensive report execution and preparation. And then and so the critical, this data that you would like, typically this data residency, are these imported data, as that's similar for Atlassian, for example, that, for example, user accounts, so that resides in their global data residency, but all the Jira data, so they are in your selected data residency. And in our case, so we also then enhanced our architecture that we can now deploy these account-specific data warehouse databases together with corresponding background job servers which do the data import together with these child nodes which execute these reports. So they could be located in different data residencies. And so we minimize the data traffic between them and then these main app servers, main database. And now we, at the beginning of the year, so we released this option that customers can select and specify that instead of a default European region, they can use the US region. So still from the performance perspective, we always recommend that it's better probably to use our global EU data residency region, as that's the most scalable and the most powerful. But if you have compliance requests, we are starting to offer this option. So starting in addition to EU with the US, but we'll see in the future, so what other requests we get, and if there will be enough customers, we might introduce new additional data residency regions as well. So, so these were some features which are already available and released. And then now let's switch to some of upcoming features. So when thinking about upcoming features, I couldn't resist with one small feature, but appropriately named feature. So if we're talking about upcoming features, I need to mention future periods function that we just released in the cloud for MDX calculations. So some of you who have used MDX calculations know that there's a previous period function which can, in an optimized way, prepare the previous periods from the current selected time period, which is good for doing some cumulative total aggregations. And now there is a similar function, future periods, which just gives you from the current period the future periods, which might be good to aggregate some so maybe story points due in all the future periods, and then you can use this measure together with this function to calculate it. Yeah, so now switching to some other new features. So one is project role dimensions. And currently in EazyBI you already can analyze data by different user groups, by reporter or assignee or logged by user groups. But we got a request that sometimes you are using also these project roles, which are not directly mapping to some specific user groups, and it would be better to do analysis by these project roles. And now you can select that you would like to analyze by project roles as well. And for example, if you had some project roles like administrators or developers, I could get the total of issues due per these project roles. And so this currently is already available in preview mode in the cloud. And so if you are using cloud, so how many of you are using Jira Cloud? Some, yeah. And how many data center? Yeah, a little bit more, yeah. But so those, yeah, I always suggest that even if you are still using data center, it's always a good maybe to take some smaller test account in the Jira Cloud so that you can find out also some latest EazyBI features. So if you're in the Jira Cloud, you can go to EazyBI Site Advanced Settings and enable it with Jira.project roles enable true. So that's how we initially maybe enable some new features for some interested customers, and when they try it out and give us the feedback, and when we see that it's good to use, then we make it available by default to everyone. So the next one is, as we are all the time exploring some new integration capabilities, so there is one a little bit obscure Atlassian product that not many Atlassian customers know about. It's Jira Align. So anyone has used Jira Align? Yeah, so there's 1, 2, 3 hands. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And sometimes also during the Atlassian conferences, we have had some customers coming and asking, do you have integration with the Jira Align? So Jira Align is targeted to large enterprises which want to do agile at scale, so that you can, if you use Jira at the more lower level for doing project level analytics, so in Jira Align you can define your portfolios and some big releases and etc. And sometimes then it drills down to individual Jira projects and individual issues in Jira projects. And now we created initial this integration where we selected some typical primary Jira Align items, and then you can use them in your Jira reports. For example, then you can analyze by align portfolio or portfolio objectives, or by programs, or by releases from Jira Align. So yeah, it's also just recently released in a preview mode in the cloud. And the next one is about, some of you have heard our slogan that we want to make simple things easy, but complex things possible. And sometimes we start with making some things possible, and then maybe they are a little bit more complex, but then over time we are thinking about the way how to make them easier. So one of such features is how to analyze your Jira data by linked issues. And currently, if you wanted to analyze by that one, so it's described in our documentation that you need to go to the advanced settings and then describe that I want to have this linked issue custom field with this name and outward link type and issue type. But then you specify it in a text, and then, of course, you might accidentally make mistakes, or you can make mistakes whether it was inward link or outward link, and whether it works as expected. And now you need to create advanced settings, go and import the data, and then test it out. Oh, no, it doesn't work. So then change the advanced settings, then re-import everything. Oh, it still doesn't work. So not very easy. Therefore, we have created a new, much easier way that you can define these issue links, custom fields from the Jira import user interface. That you can create, I want to have this new Jira issue link custom field in EazyBI with this name. And then you can select just existing inward or outward links and can't make mistakes there. Just existing issue types there. As well as you can type in one issue key and test it and see whether it will return what you are expecting in this custom field. And then there's no need to go to advanced settings and change something globally for all your EazyBI accounts. And so they are just available in the list of all custom fields in your corresponding Jira import, and much easier and simpler to use that. So this is currently in the final testing stage. So there will be some session tomorrow. Elita will talk about that in more details, but will be available soon. So the other improvement that we were thinking already for some while, that sometimes you have a large number of dashboards. And so this is just some probably simple example from my local test account that I am creating a lot of different sample dashboards, and now it's on the 3 lines. So sometimes we have seen that the customers in one account might have some 100 dashboards, and then it's probably the first page is just full of the dashboard names. And that's not an easy way how to navigate them. And we already have something that solves this problem for the reports. We have report folders. And therefore, we decided that we can introduce the dashboard folders. And so if you are, you can put in the root level just some common dashboards which are needed for all of you, for all users, and then create folders where you can put dashboards for some specific needs. And we also thought that it's most probably these folders would be exactly the same as you have for reports, and therefore we are just reusing the same folders. But here you will see just those folders within which you have put some dashboards. So then you can either look at the total level, or you can then just go into one folder and then see in this folder you have put the following dashboards. And of course, when we will release this feature, so you will be able to move all your existing dashboards to the corresponding folders where you want them to be. So this is also currently in the finalization stage, so will be available soon in the cloud and later in the data center as well. So the next one is so the leading thought of that was some imagined administrator's nightmare, either EazyBI or Jira administrator's nightmare. That manager is calling administrator and telling this report is not working anymore. Did somebody change it? Or user is sending you a message, oops, I accidentally deleted the issues cube with all the reports. Could you please restore it from the backup? And so as in our cloud, so the administrators are us, and then from time to time we get these requests, and it was also quite painful to restore and find the just particular data and restore from the backup. Or, so as I already mentioned, that we have these common advanced settings, and then you as an admin might ask, so, well, who changed this JavaScript code in advanced settings? And now, in all accounts, so the imports are broken. And then after doing some investigation, so you probably found that, well, okay, it was me this time. So how to solve these problems? So Audit Log to the rescue. And so we are introducing the new Audit Log available from the administrator settings. So in the cloud, you as a site admin will be able to see all the changes that has been done, either to site settings or to cube reports or calculated members or some source application definitions or access rights to EazyBI accounts. And then when you look at a particular event, so these could be either create or update or destroy events. And then in one particular update event, so I can find out that, for example, this is in our production, that I finally switched off the comic style in advanced settings, and you can see the diff of the changes, and you see, and on the left side, so you see which user did that at what time, and which was some request ID if you need to find some more details in the log files, and who changed that. And then for the deleted objects, for example, someone accidentally deleted, maybe deleted report, not the whole cube. You can see that it was deleted, and there is a just simple restore option that you can restore it. And it will restore it with the original ID. So if it was referenced from some other dashboard or from some Jira gadget, so it will continue to work again. So it will not be as exporting and importing it again with a different ID. And if you accidentally deleted the whole data cube or even the whole account, so we store all these cascaded events. So if the issues cube would be deleted, you would see issue cube was deleted. You can see all the linked events, and then just with one click, restore the whole issue cube. And it would be a much nicer experience. And then you could tell this user in that case, oh, no problem, will be solved in 5 minutes. In this case, so the good news is that Audit Log is available now in Jira Cloud. So you can, if you are using Jira Cloud, you can go again to your advanced settings and enable it with Audit Log enabled true. So I also wanted to mention that we, in this case, we did it gradually. That actually, if you're using the latest data center version, so there are already audit event tables in your database, and we already are started to collect all these events. And now, if just to investigate it, if you are in EazyBI 7.1 version on data center, you can find out who did some change, as we automatically already are collecting changes for the last 30 days. And with this release, we are introducing this new user interface for admins, how they can much easier to find new things, these audit events, and restore them if needed. So a lot of new things. So do we have time and are you interested in one more thing? Okay. Okay, let's do one more thing. So EazyBI, so as the name suggests, is the BI application, which is business intelligence application. But so during the recent years, so there is a hype going on again about different letter combination and before the BI. So it's about AI. And so we were thinking so whether there's something useful out of that we could use. And as I have been in the industry for more than 30 years, and I have seen a lot of buzzwords and a lot of hypes, and I have developed some skepticism about things. And so currently, many companies are just telling that they are doing AI just to get more investor money or just to raise their stock prices, and so not an issue for us. But still, I like to investigate new things and to find out whether we could do something. As currently, we are seeing that some are using these technologies just for fun. Like in this presentation, I generated these 2 pictures with ChatGPT, and they are funny to look at them. But the problem is that when you are doing something that should be correct and not just nice looking, then it's a little bit more challenge. As you probably know that to get some text appearing correctly on these generated images, so that's still unsolvable problem. And as in our case, so if we want to use these technologies, so we don't want just to make pretty charts. We want that they are actually telling you the truth and not just some nice charts. And so we were thinking about that, and so in our area, so I saw a lot of different examples. For example, many are showing, well, you don't need to learn databases, SQL anymore, so it's pretty easy. AI can generate from the user question, translate to SQL query. So I can ask, show created versus resolved issues by month in last 12 months. And SQL is automatically generated, which will tell you the answer. And so if you tell these large language models what are your database schema, so it would generate technically correct SQL, but and if you don't understand this SQL, then probably you will trust the results. But if you understand it, and in this case, if you would look at this generated SQL, so you will see that it's actually grouping by created date. And then, so what it actually will tell, it will group all the issues by created date, and then it will show how many issues were created there. But then issues resolved are actually shown by created date and by their current status of whether they are resolved or not resolved. And that's probably not what you were thinking of when asking this question. So you wanted to see this count of resolved issues grouped by their resolution date. And that's how EazyBI would answer you that question. And so these examples also are just some nice looking examples, but quite often not giving you the right results. And but in our case, in EazyBI, we already are trying to hide these technical implementation details and show you more business-oriented or user-oriented, these measure names and dimension names, and probably we could achieve something better. And so, so I had a dream that maybe if we would, so we provide already a lot of sample reports, but then when new users are coming to EazyBI, so they see this blank page of report creation, and so maybe we could help users showing how you can build reports in EazyBI. So maybe we could give you an EazyBI report creation assistant, where you could show you some sample prompts that you could ask, for example, issues created or resolved by project as a gauge. And so it would generate you some report that you could load and look at it. Or maybe you can write your own question, like I would like to show created versus resolved issues by month in last 12 months. So the same question I asked before, and it will give you some report that you can load and view on your data, and even you can tell that maybe add average resolution time in days as a line on a separate axis, and it will then take this question and add to this report definition, and you can load it and see the result. And yeah, so it loaded this additional measure, and then yeah, maybe so there are a lot of measures here that you maybe don't know what they mean, and then you could go and ask, explain some measure, and you would get the explanation what this measure means. And as we have a lot of these measures described in our documentation page, so we provide the link to the documentation page where it's described more, then it's maybe you didn't know how to and where to find it. So that would be a good thing probably for some newer users of EazyBI, but maybe for more advanced EazyBI users, so you can do it faster by yourself. You don't need this help. But maybe for advanced users, some help with MDX would help you. For example, when I look at this report and I see this average is fluctuating quite a lot of resolution time, I would like to add the median resolution time of resolved issues in a particular time period, and I would like to write a MDX formula for that. And then I will go and create a report-specific calculated measure, and I can enable MDX Assistant here as well. And let's start with some question that filter issues which are resolved in the current time period. And it will suggest some MDX formula which could do that. So here, technically it's correct, but it uses date and period function. So maybe I knew that maybe I could do it better with filtering by issue resolution measure, and I asked to improve this formula, replacing that with a different measure, or even so there's redundant this time current hierarchy member limitation in the tuple, so I don't need that. So I could ask to remove it from this formula. And when I get this issue selection correctly, then I would like to calculate the median of issue resolution time from this selected set. So I'm telling this to the assistant. And so will it give me the result which is, yeah, so this looks correct that I want to do median from filtering issues and then calculating issue resolution time. I can copy this suggested formula, select formatting, add it to my report, and view the results that, yeah, now it looks correct that these medians are much lower because so they are not influenced by these outliers which previously affect averages. So what do you think about this dream? So would you like to try it out? So assistants are available now in Jira Cloud, so you can also go to your Jira Cloud site advanced settings and enable them, or maybe if you don't want to enable for all users, it's possible to enable just for reports, admins, or for owners of accounts. So for example, for your own job security, so if you are all the time doing EazyBI reports and you don't want to make it too easy, so you can enable just for yourself, and so that others will see that you are just very productive. And so there's this saying that any sophisticated technology, enough sophisticated technology looks like a magic, And so are there some magic behind that? Not really. And so some of you who have maybe already done something with these large language models know how it typically works. So here's just a short overview. How do assistants work? When we receive the user's question, like this show issues created versus resolved by month in last 12 months. So at first we do this question analysis and we do classification. If we have this multi-purpose assistant, like for report creation, we try to understand whether it's a report definition question or it's explaining some measure or just some general documentation question. Then, based on this classification, we search for existing knowledge that we know about that. And in this case, so we are feeding all cube measures, dimensions, hierarchies, levels that we have for particular issue cube, for a particular cube type. And we are starting now just with Jira Issues cube. And then we have created a lot of sample reports that we are thinking could be useful for this report builder. And we will add more and more of them so as we see what kind of questions are asked, so that we can provide and we can do similarity search based on the user's questions. So it's using the similarity search based on these vector search, which uses semantically similar answers to the question. And we can feed these examples to our assistant. And then as well, so we have all our public documentation, which is already very good, but probably sometimes you don't know in which exact page you would like to get the answer. And we are taking all our documentation and splitting it into smaller chunks and then feeding also based on the similarity search, which are more similar to the question that you asked. And then preparing, so we gather all the data together, and then we use our instructions templates, where we are saying, like, you are EazyBI report builder assistant and create report definition in JSON format, and etc. And then use all the examples that we have found that we think might be useful to answer that question. Then we send these instructions and this additional context to the large language data model. So we experimented with the different ones, starting with OpenAI, ChatGPT model, with Google Gemini model. But currently we selected and we are using Anthropic Claude 3 model, so one of the latest ones released just in the beginning of March, which currently gave a little bit better results. And so these large language models, so if you give them good instructions with good examples, they give you pretty good answers out of that. But still, they can make mistakes, and then when we receive the answers, we know already a lot of typical errors that they make, as our report definitions, maybe they are also in the JSON format, but then we know what should be there. So sometimes there are some mistakes that it's easier just to fix in the received answers by ourselves, so that it would be valid report definition for EazyBI. And as well as we format this JSON, so we hide all this JSON complexity that if you don't need it, you just see the report name that you can load, or we format the received MDX code. And we present this to the user. I also wanted to give some couple advice what these assistants are and what they aren't. And at first, the first comment is that assistants or large language models as general can make mistakes. So you probably know already that who have used it. So we are trying to minimize these mistakes, but still currently these large language models always try to answer in the best possible way. And so it's very hard to tell them, well, try not to answer the question. And so they are trying. And assistants, or /we, are still learning, of course. And so currently we have been developing it internally and testing it internally. Of course, so now we will releasing to our customers, partners, we will see how you are using it, what questions are you asking, and how we can improve the instructions that we provide, the examples that we provide, so to build better answers. And assistants will get smarter, and as the more knowledge will be provided, feed to them. So the same question that you ask today might have a better answer tomorrow or next week. Also, I wanted to just remind that assistants can't read your mind, and it's always better to tell more precisely what you want. And as we are also trying to tune these instructions to be less creative and more specific in answering the question. And so if you will just ask, well, my projects are behaving bad, so give me the report how I should improve them, probably you will not get a good response. So it's always better if you have some idea, I want to see that, by that, within that time period or within these other constraints, so the result will be better. Also, I wanted to stress that your imported data are not sent to large language models, and they can't be exposed and or used for training others. So we are currently using just your prompt, and we are using a lot of these sample reports, all the standard measures, our public documentation. So it's based just your prompts, and then public knowledge is sent to large language models, so that you should not be afraid that your data would be exposed. But that means also that it might not, so it doesn't know which particular issue types maybe are in your project, and so it will not suggest you exactly right reports or formulas. It would be very specific to your data that is there. So it's more providing you a scaffold that you still need to adjust. And also I wanted to tell that, well, assistants are available 24/7, and you can ask questions anytime. But our support currently is still smarter, and so this is not that we would like to optimize our costs and reduce our support personnel. No, exactly why it's opposite. So we want to provide the best support for you, and always so you are ask whatever tricky questions are to your support. But now the idea is that you can get answers much faster from these assistants. And well, you can try it out, that maybe you can get some suggestions, and maybe it solve the problem. And if not, you can always ask the question to us. But yeah, so the primary goal, why we are doing it, so we want to improve support for you and provide it faster, and for these typical use cases, and also to share our existing collected knowledge that we already are having in different places. We want to share it to you. And also provide your feedback to us. So whenever you get the response, so there are thumbs up or down icons. So if some answers are especially good or unfortunately bad, so you can vote them and provide additional comments about that. So it doesn't affect primarily how answers will be generated. So these are feedback more to us, to our team, and we will review these comments, and then we'll try to experiment whether we can improve these answers to these particular kind of questions. So it is a good way how to provide the feedback to us. So with that, so that was all for me for this initial talk, and have a great EazyBI Community Days. And then here's a checklist for you to do. So listen to expert talks or use support bar. So you can do a selfie with me, or you can do if you have some questions about assistants or large language models in general. So I'm also happy to talk about that. And there are trainings, use cases, networking, as well as morning run or walk with EazyBI team. Thank you very much, and I wish you a great conference.